Tansi everybody, Shawn McDonald here, the Métis Man. Welcome to my YouTube channel.
I was born a Métis, born on Métis land, raised on a settlement, proud to be a Métis Man. Well, today I work in white man's world.
Tons everybody, Shawn McDonald, Métis Man here, and I'm in Ottawa this evening, and we're on, where, John?
We're at the corner of Metcalfe and Sparks.
Metcalfe and
About
Sparks.
a block and a half away from the Parliament building.
Awesome, awesome.
See, there it is.
There it is behind us, yes. And we're actually here on the IRN business, as most of you know, that I'm chairman of. And I'm actually here with my great executive director, Mr. John Desjarlais. And John, I'm going to hand you the mic over, and you're going to tell us a little bit what IRN represents, what our mission is, and kind of why we're here in Ottawa, please.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shawn. So the Indigenous Resource Network is a network that is stood up by people involved in the industry, Indigenous people that have spent, a considerable amount of time and career in the industry, like yourself and myself, who thought there was an opportunity to speak, more practically and pragmatically about resource development, about policy, about its impacts. We understood its impacts. We felt the impacts. With good in private policy, good public policy. And so we thought, there's an opportunity to move things and collect and bring voice to those people immediately involved in industry. And so that's the Indigenous Resource Network. Brings us to places like Ottawa, to Canada's capital, to speak to leaders, to speak to government leaders, to speak to industry associations about what good looks like. And that's what really inspires and motivates us. And so our mission is to advance resource development, good resource development in line with inclusion of Indigenous people. And that means a lot of different things. But ultimately, it's where Indigenous people are recognized as equitable partners in that process and receiving equitable benefits. And decision-making where we don't have to compromise on our values or in terms of environmental protection or sustainability, and really move things along and move reconciliation along. So that's the IRN. It brings us to places like this. This particular week, meeting with government representatives on different policy issues, but we're also here participating in a forestry event. And so with the Forestry Producers Association of Canada, invited guests here. I'm moderating a panel on Wednesday, which we're excited to participate in. And it's going to be a fun week in Ottawa, speaking to what good looks like and Indigenous involvement in resource development. And then continue to advance inclusion and reconciliation with Indigenous people and the rest of Canada.
Right. Okay. And people are probably not aware, but both you and I are both founding members of IRN.
Yes.
There's a few of us, and I believe we are 5 years old this year. Correct me if I'm wrong.
We are going on 5 years old.
Going on 5. Okay. Yeah. And one question I want to ask, I know I asked you this question personally before, off camera. Yeah. But I'll ask you publicly, and we can maybe cut this out if you feel comfortable. Okay. But I get this feedback lots from people that know me. The question is, IRN, you're heavily funded by industry, you're just catering to industry. What would your answer be to people that ask that question?
Well, our funding is diverse. We get funding from members, we get funding from industry, we get funding from government indirectly. We get funding all over the place. We're a very values-oriented organization. We don't discriminate where we take our money from because we don't compromise on integrity and our values. We have a strong mission, and if we have people who want to support what we're doing on our terms, of course we'll receive their support and their funding. But no, we don't pander, to the needs without compromising on what we do and what I said we do and what we stand about, and that's Indigenous people. And so, no, I've personally had no problem taking industry support and sponsorship to fund a lot of different outreach and engagement activities. Because I knew I had integrity. I never compromised on what I was trying to do, never sold out in any way, and achieved a lot of great successes in an outreach and engagement and inclusion. But that was ultimately self-determined. That was Indigenous led, and so incredibly proud about that. And I have no issue taking other people's money to support the ideals of an organization like ours.
I agree.
Because we have integrity and we don't We don't compromise and we don't pander.
We do too. And one of my answers that I tell people like that when they ask me that question is, yes, we do take support from different industries, but those industries in turn support our people across Canada. So when we support industry that supports our people, we're in turn helping them up as well. You know, support those who help you, help those that help you.
Yeah,
that's what I always
absolutely.
say, right? So
no, absolutely. Like we do work closely with industry, and we have a good relationship where we can, you know, and encourage best practice. And you know, one of the things we like to say with the IRN is we love to positively shame.
yes,
You know, different industry proponents into doing things better. We take examples from other organizations, other industries, say this is really working, and we articulate why it's working.
right.
You know, we don't grandstand or we don't table pound. We work practically. We understand policy. We understand procurement. We understand a lot of these things.
Yep.
And yeah, we've been received quite well from all different areas because, again, you know, we're here to find solutions.
Yeah.
We're not here to throw anyone under the bus. Everyone's working hard. It's just about aligning all those different ideals and goals and making it where it makes sense to everyone. And so, no, I'm pretty proud of the work we get to do.
Awesome. No, same here. Another question I would have is about government itself. Of course, we are nonpartisan 100% through and through, and we don't put down any different parties. We don't support any different parties, but we do speak against policies that are put in place by any level of government that's going to put a damper or a hurdle against industry, which in turn hurts our people and our communities.
Yeah.
Maybe speak a little bit on that, John.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, we try to offer that perspective. We work with all governments, and we have great relationships with you know, different parties. Again, having that integrity, being nonpartisan, you know, advancing the goals of Indigenous people to achieve self-determination, to achieve greater socioeconomic impact in these activities. You know, and it's received quite well. We're an organization of integrity. We're people of integrity. We stand by those values. And then when we engage in those conversations and say, okay, do we understand? And then we can speak to, you know, the merits of understanding policy impacts in terms of economic impact, and in terms of, you know, it's cascading Indigenous economic impact and impact to Indigenous communities and people, and from a socioeconomic level. And so we get granular, and I think people appreciate that. You know, we can give policy advice, you know, different levels, and then speak to different, you know, performance factors or outcomes or initiatives or strategies. And yeah, we speak practically, we speak experienced and informed, and we speak respectfully. We respect that, you know, a lot of these different, you know, different levels of government, different government parties, different political parties, they're all advancing in different ways and different levels and stuff like that. And we want to support all of them in terms of driving them towards achieving greater outcomes for Indigenous people. And everyone receives that well. So
Yep, exactly. Economic about the development for, you know, Indigenous communities and stuff like that, right? So maybe speak a little bit on that with the Truth and Reconciliation and how IRN plays a role in that.
Yeah,
economically.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, we advocate for, you know, increasing the equitable benefit and the economic benefit. And so understanding, you know, dollars and cents, where wages are, where disparities are, understanding dollars and cents, where procurement is, what are some of the challenges in realizing the value of procurement, you know, and some of the best practices around that. And so ultimately, at the end of the day, to deliver more value back to grassroots, back to those workers, back to those Indigenous businesses, and develop greater relationships with them and industry, and a policy regime that supports that relationship, right? And so, but yeah, we get right in there, get into the details, into the dirt. We're not this high-level advocacy organization that speaks in platitudes. We want to get down there and dirty with people that are actually, you know, trying to develop these and implement them and see the success in their implementation. Exactly.
No, thanks for that, John. And one last question. I want to talk about the sign behind us.
Ooh, let's pivot a little bit.
65% here.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll stay in shock here, but
we
did this poll, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago, John?
It'd be about 3 or 4 years ago. It was the poll we got to update. Yeah.
Okay. And I know we're kind of shocked with the numbers and that, so maybe speak a little bit on that.
Absolutely. Please. So our organization was built off this anecdotal sense that there was great support behind development, but what we kept seeing was this polarization, this, you know, that the only people, or the only opportunity that people were taking to talk about it or to showcase it on the media were these sensationalized examples of things like blockades and issues and court issues and things like that. And we thought that's not a real representation, and that's not practically moving things and bringing things together. It's creating more of a division and more divisive. And so we started the network with that feeling, and then we substantiated that feeling with a poll. And so we did a poll across Canada, reached out to Indigenous people, and then got that. What do you think about resource development? Do you support it? Are you somewhere uncertain? And then do you not support it? And so we found that 65% people said they were in support, and even more, there was people that were a little bit uncertain. So there's work to do, but a small minority did not support resource development, and I think it was like 12 or 15%. And we affirmed what we believed, because there was so many people working in and around it trying to move it forward, and this helped to affirm that. And it was a great place to start. Let's build off of that. Let's build and strengthen the relationships between Canada, it's our governments, industry, and Indigenous people. And so let's build off that, and then understand the mechanics, and then bring this closer and closer together. So
yeah, and I personally think now, John, 3-4 years ago we did this poll. I think it's even higher now, with all of the deals that have been struck now with all the Indigenous communities in the area, and that I really think that's going to be an increase from now.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel it too.
Yeah, exactly. No, well, thank you very much for that interview there, John, and I appreciate it. And again, folks, coming to you right from Ottawa with the man himself, and I like to throw a little bit of comedy in once in a while with the episodes. And our nicknames actually growing up, his was Little John and mine was Big John. So you look at it and you're like, what?
How does this make sense?
Who's Arnold Schwarzenegger? Who's Danny DeVito?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Well, no, all fun aside, John, I really appreciate you.
Absolutely, Sean.
And all the hard work and dedication you give us at the team. You're a beautiful, qualified leader that, very good spokesman.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that, Sean.
So again,
eager to serve. So
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, folks, from Ottawa. From Big John, Little John with the IRN. Where we go. So, Kinanâskomitin, John.
Yeah, Kinanâskomitin. Yeah.
Yes. You betcha. Exit. Catch you later, folks. Thanks. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. If you like this video, like and subscribe and share. And we'll see you next time. Ekoski Maka. Hi.